white zone is for immediate...
Wait a minute. Have you heard?
This is a show to keep you on the edge of your seat.
Citizens of America,
Welcome to the Radiocast.
All right, well, folks, welcome back to the Radiocast. My name is Joe Taft. Today I'm here with Adam Carrero and Jack Kelleher, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about The Most Dangerous Game. It was originally adapted from a very, very famous short story that I feel like most people probably read back in like middle school or something along those lines. But we're really excited to talk about the movie today. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing good.
Yeah. Good. Very excited to hear. So Jack, if you don't mind, I know you always come with a lot of introductory facts about the movie. So do you want to open it up with some of those facts?
Yeah, so I chose this movie at the seeing was in the public domain because I've already seen this film. As you mentioned, I did read the short story in high school, and we did watch the film back then after watching it. So when I saw it was in the public domain, I was like, oh, this will be a good film for the old time show. And yeah, as you said, it was based on a short story by Richard O'Connell was the original author's name, and it came out in the 1920s, I believe, and this was the first film adaptation of it. There's been several since, and we can get into that later, but yeah. Basically, the premise of The Most Dangerous Game is kind of like hunting being flipped on its side, with where like the hunter becomes the hunted, and humans. Basically, it's about humans hunting humans is the theme of The Most Dangerous Game. And at the time, it was considered a very shocking book, and also the film itself was considered shocking for the time because it came out in 1932 before the Hays Code, which would basically set a lot of like moral limitations on what films could and could not show. And and I'm curious to hear what you guys thought of the film.
It was definitely an interesting movie. The concept of which, like, I think you do see different variations of it, but it does take out still currently. I think a lot of horror movies are kind of the same concept. Instead of hunting it for games, you got like serial killers like hunting humans just to murder. So I think the concept's still used for today's horror movie genre. But just that in that era of movie, like everything was in studio, was on a set. And I laughed watching the shipwreck scene.
Me too.
Because it was just different shots paired together. Yeah. But how they did it back then, that's how they had to do it. Right. Quick jump cut shots, and all the sound effects were just a sound studio and guys just grabbing anything they can do to make a certain noise to get that effect. But that was that genre of movie.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel of a 1930s early flick. I thought it was cool, for the time, right? I mean, you talk about King Kong, which I'm sure we'll get into just the amount of similarities and crossing of, the phone ringing there. Maybe we should...
No, you won't hear it on the mic.
Oh, okay, great.
No.
Sorry. We'll cut that anyway. The similarities between King Kong and this movie run pretty deep. I'm sure we'll get into that. But then, I thought it was cool. I liked it. It kept my interest. It's a very short movie, only an hour and a couple of minutes. You watch episodes of television now in 2025 that are longer than that. But there were things that I thought were cool and things that I was like, okay, yeah, sure. But for the time, right? You always have to take into context the time in which the movie was produced. And for 1932, you said, pretty interesting. I thought it was cool too. I feel like that's a very short amount of time between the original short story and the adaptation. I feel like there's usually more time, but it's funny how the film industry immediately jumped on like, oh, we need to make this a movie.
Yeah, it's only a few years after the book had been released, I believe. And some of the things you mentioned, I actually have some notes on that. You mentioned the short runtime, and you mentioned the shipwreck. The reason the film is so short is that the budget was supposed to be $400,000, but then right before filming began, they studio slashed the budget in half.
Oh.
So that shipwreck scene, all the fast cuts, they had to basically edit it like that because originally they wanted the shipwreck scene to be a lot more extravagant and a lot more special effects, but
Right.
then the budget got cut, so they really had to cut down on it. And also, more people were supposed to survive the shipwreck in the movie because watching it again, I realized they're really like setting up all these other characters on the ship, and then they all die in the next scene.
Right.
More of them were supposed to survive and get to the island, but then because of the budget constraints, they're like, well, we can't have this. They had to like cut down on the cast.
Can't pay these actors.
And-
we can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Dedicate enough time.
because they'd already casted the actors in the role, so they couldn't just cut them from the movies, but completely. So they had to rewrite it so only the main character, whose name
Bob.
Rainsford, the main character Bob Rainsford was the one who made it to the island.
Yeah, which is a departure from what his name is in the short story. Correct? His name is like something. It's like Singer or it's something weird.
I have to.
But they did change it to Robert, or I'll just refer to him as Bob.
Yes.
Yeah, Robert Ransford.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Sanja.
Like
Rainsford?
Sanger or something. Sanger.
Sanger.
I really have no
Sanger.
idea.
Yeah. And before we kind of dive too far into the plot, I kind of do want to mention, I forgot to mention this on the top of the book, some like the key differences between the short story and the film.
Yeah, sure.
Because that interesting. In the short story, the main antagonist, Zaroff, he only has one henchman instead of several. The other tall and mute Ivan is his only henchman in the novel. And instead of using a bow and rifle, Zaroff only uses a pistol in the book. And also, the characters of Eve and her brother, they're not in the book.
Yeah.
Like, they were invented for the film. And also, the ending is a little different, but I can get into that.
Sure.
If,
When we get there.
Like, once we talk about the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as we've been mentioning, the film basically opens up with this hunter, Bob, not saying on this yacht they mentioned, I think they mentioned they're in the Pacific, and I believe they're either on their way to a hunt or leaving it. And as he said, the ship wrecks. There's a lot of quick cuts and Bob ends up on an island where he meets the main antagonist of the film, Count Zaroff, who is a Russian aristocrat who, as we soon finds out, hunts humans for sport.
Yes, he does. I would like to talk a little bit about one of my initial critiques of the movie is on before the shipwreck, when they are on the ship and you get that little scene where they are introducing some of the different characters who are on the ship. It's just very, very like exposition heavy. And because at the end of the day, like, I feel like thematically that scene doesn't, or not thematically, but narratively, that scene doesn't really go anywhere. Other than, I mean, the very first line of the movie has to do with how the lights aren't really the way that they should be over by the island. And that's pretty much all you need to get out of that scene until the ship smashes into some rocks. Like, otherwise, everything in that scene is pretty much like not serving a narrative purpose, but at the same time, you get a little bit of character work with Rob and like the doctor, but of course they're not in the movie past that first scene other than him. But I just thought it was really
some of the dialogue was probably a little on the nose because
very
they do
yes,
take the time
yeah.
kind of like to introduce the theme early on of like the friend asking Bob like, hey, how would you feel if you were the one being hunted?
It was very on the
With-
nose. Yeah, exactly
think-
what I was gonna say.
Part of it might just have been like, if you think back just to audiences at the time, maybe the writers felt like they had to kind of like explain, like
Yeah.
kind of like just lay it out thick
Get
instead
to
of
the
being
point.
subtle about
Uh-huh.
what exactly the themes were.
Yeah. We've lost Adam for a minute,
Yeah.
folks. He's having a bit of a coughing fit, but that's okay.
And Yeah, so we get to the island. He meets Zaroff, and I remember when I first told you about this movie, you mentioned about the themes. You mentioned the character of Craven the Hunter, and wondered if he was inspired at all. He was.
Definitely felt like it, especially with this performance of Zaroff. Yeah,
and especially with like Zaroff's facial hair, like like that's a direct inspiration for what Craven the Hunter
felt like it
comic design would end up being. So I thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
And also, like, while we're talking about Zaroff, did you notice anything about like his face? Well,
how he was always kind of doing the rock eyebrow.
Yeah, well. Well, that was partly to do with the actor Leslie Banks. He served in World War I, and he actually got injured. And he got injured doing it, and part of his face was actually paralyzed.
Okay.
So, and he realized it kind of gave him a distinctive look. So, like, whenever he played villains or serious characters, he would always kind of like lean into that. Like physical feature, and like he'd always make sure that side of his face was like facing the camera.
I was wondering about that at multiple times during the movie, where I'm like, man, like this guy's really going all in. Like the way that he's able to like only blink with like one side of his face, like kind of crazy. That prosthetic's really good. And then for you to tell me that, he really is just like
I think the scar
built different.
Well, I think the scar on his head is like that's the makeup. I don't think he actually had that scar.
That would be at that point you'd have to cast him if he had the scar. He was doing that a lot. Playing with the scar. Adam, do you have any thoughts on Zaroff or any of the characters that you might have found interesting?
Almost Zaroff was kind of like I'm forgetting his name though. What's the famous actor that used to have
Vincent Price?
Yeah, Vincent Price.
A little bit of Vincent Price, yeah.
He kind of had that draw on it to be very dramatic and long pauses. But his like two henchmen, I guess, like Igor and
they were funny.
They were comical, but they almost like in the beginning, it was like the same thing, like how the actors on the boat. He kind of introduced them to, and they just kind of popped in like here and there too. But also it might have been one of those things that because of budget restraints, they really couldn't go in depth.
Yeah, and they did have to cut down on the film's length. Because of the budget constraints. And funny you mentioned his henchman Ivan. Something that I didn't realize until I was researching it is Ivan's actually played by an African American actor.
Really?
Yeah, he's actually played by an African American actor, and he has makeup on.
Oh.
Yeah, the actor is named Noble Johnson. He was a silent film. He started off as a silent film actor he was 6'2" and like very big. So he was routinely casted as like the kind of like the big heavy roles. And as a silent film actor, he was mostly in a lot of makeup. And this just kind of goes to show Hollywood Hollywood norms at the times where they would just because besides playing Ivan, he was cast as Native American characters. He was cast as Middle Eastern characters.
Right.
And so that definitely is a product of its time, that casting.
For sure.
And he's actually also one of the trainers for the dogs used in the film. So, which I think why during the chasing later, you see he's the one holding the leash.
Yeah, because he's the only one that actually had the permit to do so.
Well, that and plus he's probably holding the dog because these dogs go a little crazy. So I'm going to stay with these dogs. Everybody else, they can run off.
Oh yeah. Fun fact about that: the dogs were supposed to be very well trained, but one of them actually did end up biting Zaroff, Leslie Banks.
Oh yeah.
Well, when they went up to the tree, you saw kind of there's supposed to be the dogs jumping on. And there was a couple of shots that you saw the dogs like fighting each other.
Yeah. That was bizarre.
But also the brother. I thought the brother, you could tell something bad was going to happen to him, but like.
Yeah, the brother's kind of a very typical. Yeah. As soon as you meet him, you're like, you're doomed to die as soon as you meet him. And
I wasn't sure if he was going to stumble into the trophy room. I thought he was going to be too drunk and not know where his bedroom is, kind of thing. Yeah. And him walk into the trophy room, and that's when he gets caught. It's like, you're not supposed to be here. But
he got invited in.
He got invited in. Yeah.
What's interesting is that he's actually one of he's probably the most accomplished actor.
Oh yeah,
in the whole movie. I'm looking at Robert Armstrong. Looking at Letterboxd, and he's been in over
everything.
100 plus movies. Where like a lot of these actors, I mean, have been in a lot of stuff, but he kind of takes the cake there. So even Noble Johnson as well. He's been in tons and tons of movies during that time.
Right, and back then you didn't get residual checks, so it's one of those things like you did all these roles just to have a paycheck.
Yeah, that's right.
So he was probably like some of the roles. It's more like police officer. It's just like random stuff, but it's just like I need a paycheck to live, so I'll play this character. I'll play this character.
Yeah, and he definitely did play a drunk very well in the film. I think like he just kind of went full out as being which maybe a little bit of a nitpick about the writing is that kind of like that character's one defining feature is that he's just smashed the whole time. But well, he's only in kind of in one scene, so
right. He's honestly more of a plot device than an actual character. And I think that, like you said, how they had to cut a lot of characters' screen time and stuff. To me personally, I don't think that makes the film. I think it makes the film honestly like better and more focused and concise, like focusing on the three, really mainly just the two main characters. Like Eve is honestly, she's a little bit of a plot device too. I mean, like you don't really get to know very much about her. It's more so about her relationship to the other two characters, specifically Rob. But it is very tight and focused when it comes to certain characters. But yeah, anyways, Robert Armstrong really did a great job of playing a drunk for sure, and a very specific kind of drunk too. Like a sophisticated, you could say, like or a wannabe intellectual.
You can definitely tell he attended a lot of high class cocktail parties from the way he was acting.
Yeah, and the way he was talking too. At some points, I got confused. I thought like they knew they'd been to this before, but this is the first time they were at the mansion.
It was mentioned that the brother and sister, even Martin, like Rob, they were also victims of a shipwreck.
Yeah.
And as we later learn, it's Zoff. Like Zoff moved the channel light so that ships would intentionally crash, and so he could get more victims. And now, as we talk about Eve and Martin, I think now's the time to dive into this film's connection to King Kong, because as I mentioned in the intro, for the old time, the actress who plays Eve, Fay Ray, was Ann Darrow in the original King Kong, and Robert Armstrong was Carl Denham in King Kong as well. Yeah. This film was made by the Most Dangerous Game and King Kong were both made by RKO, and King Kong was made the year after this, using a lot of the same sets as I also mentioned in the intro. I think most famously, or at least most recognizable, was the log that they run over during the chase scene. Is the same log used in King Kong in the infamous scene where like he turns it over and causes many of the crew members to fall to their deaths.
Yep.
And as I mentioned, that the screams of the crew in the Most Dangerous Game when the ship crashes, a lot of those sound bites were then reused in King Kong.
Makes sense.
Like for the crew members falling to their deaths.
Yeah.
And also, Noble Johnson was also in King Kong.
Yep.
He played the chief of the natives on the island. And also, the guy who did the special effects for the Most Dangerous Game, I don't have his name written down. He was one of the directors of King Kong. So
I see.
There's a lot of... So it seems like they definitely reused a lot of it, which makes sense. They're trying to save money back then, but it's kind of interesting how like there's so much crossover between King Kong and Most Dangerous Game, yet it seems like not many people know about the Most Dangerous Game, while King Kong is a very famous movie.
I do have a theory, or I'll start it as a question. If you don't have the answer, then I'll turn it into a theory. Do you know why the budget was cut in half for Most Dangerous Game?
I couldn't find an answer. It might have just been studio.
Could it be that they were trying to save money for King Kong?
More than likely.
They knew that was going to be, and even though it's the same set, same sets and stuff, they're like, well, we're going to make these two movies that have, crossover. with the cast and the sets and sound effects and things. But there's no reason for us to pour $400,000 into Most Dangerous Game if we're about to put $600,000 into King Kong. So, or maybe it was that, because I was looking at $600,000 for King Kong, and you're saying $200,000 for Most Dangerous Game. So maybe originally they were both supposed to be 400.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we should probably, throw a little more into the
That's
one,
more than
maybe.
likely.
Who knows? It's just it's a tinfoil hat, but who knows?
Yeah, I couldn't find that answer online in my research, but that was what I thought as well, that they probably wanted to save money for King Kong because that was a very special effects heavy film. And also I think another set that was reused was the swamp that they run through. Was
with
also,
the alligator, crocodile, whatever.
Oh yeah, that kind of, watching that again, it surprised me how just like, it looked like the actors just ran past a live alligator.
It looked very good, yeah.
And I was just like, and it made me wonder, I was like, wait, was there like any safety there? Or did they just have both the actors walk within like 2 feet of this alligator?
Right, I mean, it's obviously like a set, right? So when they're, like, what was the point of including this
maybe just
animal,
maybe just to give it some authenticity of being a swamp, because that shot from early in the film of the shark in the water, that was reused from that was a shot that they reused from a previous movie. And I think it was later used in another movie, but that was like B-roll they had.
Yeah, it's a stock footage.
The one of it in the water, like swirling around, where it ate the one guy. Or,
I think both shots of that shark were like basically just like footage the studio had, and they would just insert in the films whenever they needed a shark.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So as we find out, as the characters find out, Zoff, who is an avid hunter, grew bored of hunting animals and decided to hunt people for sport, which I looked up the book online, and his kind of whole speech about how he grew bored and then got interested once he found this new animal to hunt, that's almost word for word taken from the short story. They copied a lot of the dialogue from the original story pretty well, I think.
Did the original author have any kind of role on this movie or no?
I don't think so.
Not like a writing credit or anything obvious. I didn't see anything like that.
I think I saw his name when they were like based on the story by this guy, but usually I think that was just the only credit they would get. Yeah. So and a fun fact about Zoff's trophy room, which we've kind of talked about, that room was supposed to be a lot more gruesome. There were in the original cut of the movie, there were like more shots of heads and jaws, severed heads, and a few stuffed human corpses were supposed to show up, but it was deemed to be too gruesome, so they had to cut those. And even what they included for 1932, I was like, this is pretty gruesome looking for a 30s film.
Yeah, it was that was kind of the most like horror movie vibes of the whole movie was that basement or the trophy room. That was cool. We could talk a little bit about how you get that dynamic between the actors when the realization, I feel like down in that trophy room, Eve convinces our boy Bob to kind of go down there and take a look for what's her brother's name?
Martin was his name.
Martin. So they go down to check on him, and they're hiding, and they come down with the body, which I thought was interesting. I mean, I guess it was really early in the morning, but you mean they just like lugged the body like through like the living room, like to get down there? I would have thought that they would have brought it up through the
he probably thought they were asleep, but
but so just the whole that scene, you could tell that they put a lot of focus into the that interaction, obviously, because it's like the letting the proverbial
cat out of the bag.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking jar, but I'm like, cats don't go in jars.
They probably would if they could.
Yeah, he'd probably put one in a jar, or maybe a human head. See that? Well, whatever, it's fine. But so when they, you kind of get this back and forth with like he wants Rob to hunt with him.
Yeah, because Bob himself is also a very accomplished hunter who Zoff has learned
Read his
about
stories.
because
Yeah.
I think like they mentioned Bob wrote a book and Zoff has read the book, so he knows who he is, and he's like trying to convince him to like, hey, come hunt with me, it's great. Human's Excellence born, and Rob's just like, you're insane.
Yeah. He like doubles down. He's like, come hunt with me, and he's like, no, like that's a terrible idea. He's like, no. Also thought it was funny how he tried to convince them. He's like, no, Martin was sober when I let him out into the wild. I'm like, there's no way.
Well, he did say he like kind of
he did say
he like chained him up in the trophy room for like an hour and said that sobered him up quickly. Which
You see how much vodka that man was drinking?
Well,
he was not sober by an hour.
if I walked into a room and then just saw a bunch of human heads hanging on the wall, I'd be that would probably sober me up pretty quickly.
You would think, but this guy, like, I mean,
But
He was
slamming
Yeah.
slamming
That was
vodka.
And
1 hour in a room.
Yeah, and as
That ain't gonna do it.
and as
No.
Zoff said, it sounded like the hunt didn't last very long. Once
No.
He's like, okay, go ahead, and he just face plants. Like,
yeah, so after the reveals happen, Zoff and Bob turns him down. Zoff then decides to hunt him instead, which I forget exactly in the book how that happened, how the realization happened with how he learned he was hunting humans, whether or not he actually snuck down to the trophy room or if Zoff told him. I don't remember, but yeah, basically he gives him the same thing of like, hey, I'll give you an hour head start. Here's a knife, that was a really big knife, by the way. I was like, I'll say that's a comically big knife. That he had. And Eve, who Zoff wanted to keep, wants to come along, and she's like, I'm not staying here with this guy.
right.
So she comes along, and then the hunt begins. And I kind of think the hunting scenes are kind of one of the better parts of the movie. I think they are done really well.
For sure. You could break the movie down into basically a tale of two halves. You know, the first half setup and the second half is all
Action
and climax and yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and if they had a bigger budget, I think the hunt would have been more dramatic. Like I think the two little traps that he set up, I think would have been more. And you put, like you said, like they had more people that survived the boat wreck, so you don't know the backstories of the other people, so there could have been other things done.
Yeah. I think it works though, you know, like, yeah, another like 10, 20, 30 minutes of like the hunt maybe would have been exciting, but I also feel like it could have dragged, and like how much more is there really to do, right? Like,
yeah, because I do know some of the scenes like once they realized it had to be a shorter movie, one of the directors of the producers, he would time the scenes, and he wanted that, and then when they were doing another take, he'd be like, okay, let's try and beat that last.
go faster.
Go
Okay,
faster,
yeah.
have the scene go quicker.
I see.
So, and also I know some shots they sped up some of the
I did
shots,
see that too.
which
Yeah.
is
A few shots of them running.
yeah. Back then, that was another like filmmaking technique to just like speed things up. It's
exactly.
like just literally just speed up the film.
Yeah, if you can't get the actors to speed up, just speed them up in post. And I thought, you know, the progression of, I thought it worked for me at least, like how they went. It was like the first trap didn't work. Could have killed them right then and there with the bow, but was like, you could tell that Zaroff was like kind of liking it. He's like, this is actually like one of the more fun. Like he actually put up a little bit of a fight. Like, let's see what he can do next, and kind of like lets him go. But he's like, but I'm gonna go get like my rifle now because I'm not gonna like if I'm gonna let you go, I'm gonna make this harder for you. And it's kind of a gradual increase of the danger.
Yeah, the escalation,
the dangerousness of the game.
Which I also kind of wonder if, like, because you mentioned like he lets them go. Technically, I think Bob and Eve were in that scene when they're in the cave, just kind of like, well, it's not like a cave, more just kind of like a little hole in the wall.
Yeah,
in the
it's like a little cave.
in the ground, and
right.
Zob knows they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, I think they kind of did have a good advantage because they had both the knife and the arrow he just shot in. So if he tried to go in there, they could just stab him as soon as he walked in. So I think he realized.
Okay.
And a bow and arrow was probably very awkward to use in close quarters. So
Yeah.
I think he's realized it wouldn't be, if he tried to like go in and get them, it probably wouldn't work out well for him. So that's why he kind of escalates by going to get the rifle.
Then he mentioned like he's gonna hunt him like a jaguar.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a leopard is what.
A leopard, yeah.
Exactly.
So that's kind of why.
Yeah, that was interesting. So you get that trap, and then you get the second trap, which is kind of born out of Eve like freaking out because she realizes that he's gonna grab his rifle, and so she runs, and then
there's just
they
this hole
find
in
that
the ground.
cliff. That randomly like really convenient hole in the ground, which I mean I thought was it looked good. I felt like all the sets looked pretty good. Like they didn't feel like they were inside. You know, you have productions today in 2025 where you're watching like what's supposed to be an outdoor set and it's clearly shot inside, and you're like, you know, but
Yeah,
I feel like because of the big like jungle mask that is covering, you know, their overhead, you know, you're getting those like shadows of the trees and the twigs and things like that, and it felt, I mean, at least for me, it felt like it was like a pretty good set, especially for the time.
Yeah, there's a reason why they reused it for King Kong.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
it
they
was
had
well
a big
made.
enough sound studio that they could make that big enough set.
Right. Yeah, I wonder if they were all like connected or if they were, you know, just going from like shot to shot, because there were a lot of different parts of the jungle that they were going through. You know, you had the different waterfall bits, the swamp, the like more foresty bits, the cave. Like,
Yeah, the waterfall was kind of.
Yeah.
You could tell certain angles it was still a projector. It wasn't like a real waterfall.
Yeah,
there are a few shots
Yeah.
throughout where you can kind of tell it's a projector. Yeah.
You know, I think that the term for that was like a matte painting is what it was.
The waterfall or the
like when they would have like a projection like that. I think the term for that was called a matte painting, at least back then.
right.
Yeah,
But the
'cause,
waterfall
they
was
still-
moving. Like the water was.
Oh, like
The water was flowing, I thought.
Yeah, I think by that meant it was like an image superimposed into the film, like during the
Okay.
editing process to
I
make
see.
it look like two shots were combined.
Right.
Which-
Okay.
Which is something they used a lot in King Kong in order to have
Yeah.
like the puppet monsters and the people in the same angle.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you mentioned the filming locations. Yeah. The jungles, I looked. I said the jungle set was built in a large tank in the studio. The sets for the waterfall and rapids were built on a separate stage.
Okay.
And the beach that he robs comes ashore as that was an actual beach in California that they used.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And yeah, so I think
Yeah.
it said they had two different sets. I think the waterfall set and the jungle set were two different ones. I don't see anything about the swamp. I feel like that would have to be its own set as well, the swamp set.
Maybe, or maybe they just, you know, hazed up the jungle sets, you
Yeah.
know, and really got it nice and foggy and kind of went that route.
They
Because
could have used the same water tank as they did the shipwreck where the guys were falling into the water. Because
Yeah,
those are really
possibly.
close up of the guys falling into water. So
Yeah.
why didn't know if they couldn't make it into swamp?
yeah. Oh, and a side note about the shipwreck. I know we're like beyond that, but I just thought it was really funny. And you had kind of mentioned it, like how you get the huge explosion, which was awesome, and then you get like this one shot that they kept cutting to. It was like they didn't have time or the money to do any other angles of things falling into the water. It's just this one like top down shot of
Oh,
like
yeah, just
guys
the guys
jumping
just
in,
falling in. It's like,
falling
let's
in, and then a bunch of
throw-
debris,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
another guy, and another guy.
Yeah, they probably just had
Yeah.
that set up on the one and like
Yeah.
throw stuff in and then like, okay, get the stuff out of the camera shot.
Yeah.
Right, this guy throws in, all right,
and
swim
then
out of the
next-
thing. You go in now.
You next, you next. Okay,
yeah.
we're done. Like there was no other shots.
Because it was just that shot, because all the sound effects were set in studio, just a guy next to a mic screaming and then just making a sound effect.
could have used like one more shot, like from a different angle of stuff falling in the water. But you
I mean,
know,
cameras back then were a lot bigger and harder to move around. So
fair enough. But I mean, you know,
And they were trying to speed
It
up
was a low
on,
budget, I
on
get
shot time too, so that's why they probably just had the guys line
Yeah.
up. It's like
I don't know.
fall in, swim out,
Like guys,
push
hurry
this
up.
guy, fall in.
we're shooting King Kong
Yeah.
in 2 weeks.
Don't stop the film from rolling. Just fall in.
Right. Yeah, when they're rolling, they're just gonna roll. So
Yeah.
everything's just gotta go.
Yeah, going back to the waterfall, that's the part where kind of the hunt has escalated again, and Zoff now brings out his hunting dogs.
Right. Actually, I'm sorry. Before we get back into the narrative thing, there is one more thing I want to mention about that shot and some other shots, if that's okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There were like some jump cuts that I think you could tell pretty obviously, including, that was the first one.
Yeah.
Where it's like you have this shot of the same angle and things happening, but clearly like, the first guy jumped and then maybe 30 seconds later the next guy jumped, and obviously there's like a jump cut there and you can kind of see it. There's another one later in the movie of Rob when he's like reacting. You get like him kind of reacting one way, or like he says something and then he's like out of nowhere he's like looking this way and turned and like reacting to something. Like there was definitely a cut in between there. And then one more in particular that I'm trying to remember, but I lost it.
Was the dog attack?
The dog, thank you. The shot, the like tilted up shot of the dogs running toward camera. Thank you. Yeah, where like you get a bunch of them, and then there's clearly like a jump cut, and then a bunch more come. Where it's like, at that point, it's like director probably called action. The first set came, and then like 20 seconds pass until the next set comes. So it's like, you gotta do what you can, and that's what I meant by like they were like, we can only roll film like so much and so many times. It's like, we're not going to get another take of this necessarily. So why not just cut and use what we have? Because then back then it was literally cutting the film, right? Like
yeah,
with scissors.
and same thing with the dog attacking. Like you could tell the cuts when they were trying to do of him with the real dog on his shoulders and then the fake dog too. Like they really couldn't. Well, like now you can probably time it frame by frame to get the cut even, but there, like you can tell like the little jumps of the dog moving because it was going back from the real to the fake dog.
Yeah.
And it was more because they were using the razor blade and cutting the
I think
frames.
jump cuts were definitely a lot more prevalent back in like when they use actual physical film. Because and also that might have been a thing of like them trying to cut down on time, but also taking into account that physical film like can be damaged or overexposed. So there might have been like just shots that were missing that they had to be like, all right, we'll just roll with it. And just put it in.
If it were, now and you're shooting on, some people still shoot on film obviously, but if you're shooting digital and like that happened where the first set of dogs come and then you have like this big delay and then the second group comes, you'd probably just run it again and try and get the dog trainer to like get them a little bit more condensed and closer. But I can understand why, like, you're not really like, I don't think that the jump cut like ruins the movie or the scene or anything like that. And specifically, well, I'll get into that in a little bit later, but please, if we want to talk about the waterfall sequence, let's do that.
Well, let's have to just introduce how the waterfall is kind of like where, as you mentioned, the dog kind of attacks Bob, Zoff shoots and they fall off the edge. We think Bob is dead, and I'm pretty sure the same thing happened in the book, where I don't know if a dog attacked him or if he pretended, or if he just jumped up because Zoff had caught up to him, but he falls off the waterfall. Zoff thinks he's dead, heads back to the fortress with Eve, and that's kind of like when the climax starts. And I know, was it you, Adam, who said you had things to say about the fighting in the movie, or was that you?
I did.
Okay, you.
Yeah. I thought that. Well, first off, I mean, before we get into that, like, I feel like the chase was really well shot, and pacing wise, it worked really well because you could feel that they were up against like the timer of the sun, because at this point you still kind of believe that he's going to play by the rules a little bit, but just the chase in general I thought was really well executed, and with the dogs, right? Because like that's something that you can't necessarily control all the time, and I felt like that sequence I thought was awesome. And then you get to the end, which is like, I'm like, oh, this is the climax of the movie. And then no, like the actual climax of the movie is when you get this final fight in the living room there between Zaroff and our boy Rob, and they're just throwing haymakers and like falling all over the place. And I really thought like the choreography of that and the stunt. I mean,
Yep.
I'm guessing there had to be some stunt actors involved in there because they were just flying
Yep.
over each other. And
Bob pulls off a very impressive backbreak move.
that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was like some Undertaker stuff when he on his henchman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like they cut and and that was the real actor. Like they
Yeah.
showed that you could see his face. And I'm like, yeah, that was insane. Arm, leg.
I know.
The guy was like trying to tap. He couldn't do it. That was an awesome sequence. Just the scrapping that was going on there, I thought was really, really fun. Very entertaining, and just like that accompanied with the score of the movie, which I thought throughout the movie, the score was really awesome. It was epic. It was exciting and suspenseful. I thought the fight was awesome toward the end. I wish there was more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Now, I see we're getting a little up in time. I know, not to change subjects, but I know you had certain shots in the film you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Do we want to just get through kind of talking about how the movie ends, and then we can get into that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so
Might as well.
at the breaking the back of one of the henchmen, Rob's able to stab Zoff, also in the back, right with one of the arrows.
Yep.
He's able to get Eve, and they take out the last henchman, and then they're in the boat that Zoff apparently has. It was mentioned earlier, and that was kind of like the thing that made Eve aware that something was going on, is that Zoff lied that the boat was broken, but then she would hear it being used.
Okay, that's what it was. I thought. Okay, that's fine. I thought that she had said that there was no boat, or that. But okay.
And then they mentioned earlier that like the reason why they were been there a few days off claimed he had a boat, but it was being repaired. But then she said, and then she pulls Bob to the side during the first scene and says that she heard the boat being used the night before, which was probably them going out to move the channel markers, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they get in the boat. Zoff's in the window trying to take one last shot at them. He collapses and falls out the window, and it's implied he falls down into the kennel of the dogs who probably eat him.
Absolutely,
which is what happens in the book. Mm-hmm. In the book, what happens is at that point it's just Zoff and Bob, and they do get into a fight, but it happens kind of, I guess, off page. You can't really say off screen. Yeah. It happens off page, and it just kind of implied that that's what happened. The Zoff was beaten in the fight and thrown down to the dogs.
Oof.
Because it ends
threw
with
him in himself.
Yeah, because it's like mentioned that they're about to, basically when they're like, okay, let's do this, let's fight. Mm-hmm. I forget which one character says that that one of them will sleep well tonight, the other will be food for the dogs. Then it says Bob slept very well that night.
Oh wow!
It's basically how the book ends.
Yeah.
Oh jeez, I wonder why they didn't. It's like you get all the way to the end of the movie, and it's like you're not gonna, or I'm sorry, all the way to the end of the story, and you don't actually write your final fight. But okay, I liked how they included it. I thought it was a good. It was kind of a second climax, like I said, but also kind of a resolution because you thought he maybe died falling into the waterfall there. But yeah, I liked how the final shot of the movie is like him falling off the window and them sailing off to freedom. I thought it was just a nice like final to put a little bow on it. You know what I mean? Didn't waste too much time. There really wasn't all the wasted time I felt like in this movie was in the beginning.
Yeah.
To where then like once you get going, like it works. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
But then the way they ended the movie too, like you could pitch it back that they could make a sequel to it. Like he really didn't die; he just fell off, and then he continues.
Oh, Zaroff?
Yeah, he continues his ways, and you have like another sequel, like the Squid Games.
Oh, jeez, yeah. He goes. He purposefully
Bob
decides to go
he
back.
He comes back because he needs to take care of Zion.
You know what? That would make the second season of Squid Games make a lot more sense. Spoilers.
Yes.
It definitely allows it an ending point that, all right, they got away, they sailed off in the sunset, and happy story.
Yeah, so there wasn't like a love interest in the short story, right?
No.
It definitely added to that element of like the American hero comes in and saves the day, and he's making sacrifices to save women. Like, what a guy!
It's probably just kind of at the time they're like, hey, we need a damsel in distress.
Of course.
So let's put her in the movie.
Yeah.
That's just Hollywood at
It
the
certainly
time.
felt that way.
Yeah.
So I have a segment here where we're going to talk a little bit about some of my favorite shots of the movie. So for those who are watching on in video form, I have we're going to put those shots on screen. For those people who are listening in podcast form, I'm going to give you the timestamp, and we'll just talk a little bit about those shots. So the first shot that I really thought was awesome was comes at about the 25th minute of the movie. And it's the shot where you have Rob and Eve in the foreground, kind of silhouetted, and you have Zaroff in the kind of midground to background, but he's in focus and he's playing the piano and he's kind of checking on them over his shoulder as they're having their intimate conversation. I just thought that shot was really nice, and I like the use of silhouettes in this movie. There's just a lot of like nice depth being created through lighting in this shot. You have like the practical candles up in the top right, and the like stage kind of thing off to the left, and you just see what's his name, Martin, just completely being oblivious per usual. Really like that shot. Probably my favorite one in the movie, to be honest. And then we have this cool shot of Zaroff about 10 minutes later, 35 minutes into the movie, as they're having that confrontational scene where Zaroff, the cat is let out, the head is taken out of the jar. See, I said I was going to use that at some point. The proverbial head. So you get this shot, and the lighting continuity is actually a little bit off in this scene if you pay attention to it, because you have the shots of Zaroff speaking. You have his face is fully lit. He has a top light coming in, but then the shots of Rob, specifically the lighting on Rob in this shot, which I like a lot. You have the whole side of his face that's facing, or the side of his head that's facing the camera is like black, like pitch. But then when you cut to, and he has this nice key light kind of on the side of his face, which looks really nice in this shot. And again, you have candles creating this kind of depth with the practical lights. But then when you cut to the close-up on Rob, his entire like face is like lit like a TV production. So there's a little bit of a lighting continuity error there, but it does still, I really like this shot a lot. And then you get a shot of them hiding in the cave here, 42 minutes in. I just liked how they're kind of like vignetted in the center of the frame, and Rob is like really sweaty. I don't know why. That just made me feel like it felt very real and honest, and that there were stakes in this scene. That was nice. And then you get a silhouette shot about 54 minutes in when they're standing in front of the waterfall. I think that shot works really well. Again, the shots in this movie, I haven't said this yet. I don't know why I said again, but the shots in this movie aren't necessarily like thematically that like interesting from a cinematography perspective. Like the shots don't make the movie like thematically any better or worse. They're just nice looking shots, really. I mean, like, and this one goes to show like, you get, there's a few nice silhouettes throughout that final, the chase scene. This one in particular is my favorite just because of how much contrast there is from your subject and your background. That one's really nice. And then the last thing, I mean, the final fight, you just get like these really like big wide shots, and even in the 4:3 aspect ratio, you're still getting like the sense of scale and scope. I like how they're able to create so much depth in that set of Zaroff's like castle. You have the chairs, and then like you have on the back wall, you're getting like a reflection of the mirror with these or not the mirror, but of the windows and the frames, and you just get like them center frame just duking it out. I think that was a really fun shot. And so again, I think cinematographically you're talking about nothing super like, we're not reinventing the wheel here, but it's a pretty movie, and it's shot well, it's lit well, And yeah, I just wanted to talk about some of the shots and how I felt about them. So thank you for letting me do that.
You're welcome.
So the lighting was good, but some of the camera movements, though, is what stood out. That I'm like, ooh, they struggled a little.
That's
Like,
true.
I don't think they had a crane. So it was kind of more like a dolly movement that it just didn't smooth.
Were there
between
any-
the chase in the jungle
Okay.
and what caused I'm forgetting what caused like the dramatic look. They were supposed to get a surprise face and the camera should have zoomed in or like craned in and it just dollied and it
Are you
struggled.
talking
moving
about the one on Zoroff when they go off to bed and he's like, I'll take care of him, or he'll take care of me, and he's like, yeah, I will, and they like way in. Sorry, they come way in like this is supposed to be this big epic moment, but it's like it probably was in like 1932. The audiences are probably like, oh, but you know, we watch it now, and we're just like, really?
Looks like the camera couldn't zoom in more. They didn't have a crane for it to come in, but the jungle chase too. The dolly wasn't there. I was like, ooh,
Right.
They probably had a crane in the original budget, but
Yeah, true. Yeah. They rented it for one day.
yeah.
I felt like but I do feel like during the chase sequence, like a little bit of shakiness, like I think adds to the chaos of the sequence versus like in the beginning, there's a shot where they're introducing themselves like while they're all sitting at the couches and the chairs over by the piano, and there's one that like goes in toward whether it's toward Rob or toward Martin, and it's like it was so shaky and all over the place, and it's like, what? I'm surprised the shot even made the final cut.
Yeah.
could have been just the way how big the cameras are. Not real, because you could, for chasing, you could set up the camera for different angles to have the continuity move in, but they just had to dolly it.
So I see we're getting close to the end. In the last few minutes, I kind of want to talk about sort of like the legacy and the influence of this film.
sure.
Because, as
That's hilarious
we've
ones.
mentioned, is that the concept of like humans hunting humans is like a trope that, and a plot idea that we see still being used nowadays. And the film and the book are probably both the thanks for that, because I looked up like actual like authentic adaptations of this story, and there have been a few since then, but almost none of them actually had the name The Most Dangerous Game. They all had different names, because 1945 there's a remake by RKO which was called A Game of Death, and because it came out during World War II, they switched the Zoroff. They switched Zoroff from a Russian to a German.
To a German Nazi. He had to hunt a Russian.
Oh, geez.
And,
Yeah.
And there's other adaptations called Run for the Sun, 1956, Bloodlust, 1961. But there actually was an adaptation in 2022 with the name The Most Dangerous Game. Only had 24% on Rotten Tomatoes, so probably not that good of a movie.
Right.
Yeah, I was looking on the list of the movies, and I've seen an up-to-date movie like this, and I was even trying to think of some of the actors in it, and I couldn't find the listing of it. But then I going through all the listing of all the movies that this adapts to, like you still got big name movies like The Predator,
I saw
those
that
other
too.
big monster, but like TV series, like you name the TV series, they adapt this.
They've done an episode.
Of it.
Yeah, I think
exactly.
some of the shows I saw listed were like Criminal Minds, Law and Order, Supernatural, The Blacklist.
Yeah.
Even Game of Thrones kind of adapts a little.
Yeah.
In season 4, the villain Ramsay Snow is hunting a human with a bow and arrow and hunting dogs. There's a whole scene of that. So
Yeah, I mean, it's such a classic trope that it almost feels like you get to that point where it's done so many times. It's like, are we even still, is it because of The Most Dangerous Game that they're doing this, or is it just because it's become such a common theme?
There's also a Treehouse of Horror Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns is hunting all the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, and some of the other... And I know you mentioned The Predator, other films. Like I saw The Hunger Games. A lot of people credit The Most Dangerous Game with inspiring The Hunger Games.
That's interesting, because that's a little bit of, they put a little bit of a twist on it, right? You know, where it's like the people who are in charge are just making them all hunt each other. That's cool.
Yeah, and also you mentioned Predator, which is these elite soldiers who are now the ones being hunted. And I wonder if this was intentional or not. the log trap that they set up for Zoff in The Most Dangerous Game, it's kind of the same log trap that Arnold uses at the end of Predator against.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was an intentional inspiration or just coincidence.
I think it could have been.
It could, yeah. Because the only thing was like in 2022, The Most Dangerous Game, and that was like a really remake of it.
Yeah, they've done a couple, like, I guess you could say, like, big budget remakes of it.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen either of them. They don't seem like they were that.
Yeah, I was looking at the cast of that one of the 2022. Like the main character is CT from The Real World.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh really?
The Boston Connection.
Didn't one of them have Liam Hemsworth in there? One of the remakes. That's what I was just seeing recently, but I have no idea.
I'm looking at this. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Somebody's watching this being like, you haven't seen that?
Oh yeah, I've seen Hot Target. That
it's definitely this. Yeah, but the concept's definitely there.
It's probably going to be a concept that's still going to keep being used. In
I would say
movies and TV. So
especially since it's in the public domain now. You know, the original book, so the original short story. So maybe we should do an ECAT. Most Dangerous Game adaptation. What do you think would happen?
We need. I think we need the budget for a crane.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a good way to.
But even like the story can peel off because you can even say like The Running Man. That's they're remaking. It is kind of something like that. Like it's not one person hunting, but you are getting people hunted.
People hunting people, and just finding different ways
of doing it. So there's definitely like a tear from that, for it.
Just saying, it's so.
But it's definitely like the movie for that era was definitely all that you can think of making it. How they did the sound stages, the sound, the shots, the sets was definitely that era of movie industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, unless you guys have any other final thoughts. I did ask you about what this movie was shot on.
35 millimeter film.
35 millimeter, yeah. I think that added to just how nice the some of the lighting in some of the different sequences were. Film just hits different, man. Just hits different. And I mean, that's what movies were getting shot on those days. But it was a pretty movie. It looked good. And then if you guys haven't seen, I actually watched the colorized version. They did a colorized version in 2007 where they added color to it, and I thought it looked really nice. They did a good job on the coloration. I would say.
That's the version I watched in high school. They showed us the colorized version.
Yeah. This is a recurring theme for me where I watched Suddenly, the one with didn't that have Frank Sinatra? Yeah, that one I watched in color, Suddenly in color, which I thought was but for some reason I keep catching these movies in color. That's just what Amazon Prime has. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, you want to take us home?
I don't know how.
just signing off. Adam, sign us off.
Just if you haven't watched the movie, just stumble upon this. Go to ECAT's YouTube page. Watch Old Time Movie. Watch past Old Time movies and other radiocasts. We also do Old Time TV. We didn't have that much time to talk about this month's, but there's plenty of Old Time. We try to keep finding what's on domain. But just and if you have a movie, reach out.
Yeah.
Add a link in the comments of other movies that's in domain, and then we'll take a look and see if we can fit it. But
I think we're gonna be watching. If I'm not mistaken, we're going to be watching Carnival of Souls. No, I'm sorry. We watched Carnival of Souls. I butchered that.
Dr. Caligari.
The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari for next month.
Yeah.
Very excited to do that.
Yeah.
Great movie.
So like, subscribe, comment. We'll keep on doing it.
All those things.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in, folks. And happy Halloween. Happy fall. And we'll see you next month as the holiday season rolls along.